Welcome to Session Sunday. Hi guys, it's Jack Edwards, and in today's video we're going to be focusing on some fun, small-sided games. But before we get into this week's video, make sure to leave us a like and subscribe, and if you missed last week's video, click on the link above. Okay, so moving into the first part of this week's session, we're going to move into our first small-sided game. But before we get into it, let's have a look at how many players we're working with this week and the equipment that we'll be using. Now, in terms of players for this week, we're going to have 12 outfield players and 2 goalkeepers. Now, you can adapt this. If you don't have any goalkeepers, we can adjust the type of finishes, okay, that we can do. If you have one goalkeeper, you can look to get a coach or a parent or a volunteer to go in near the goal, or we can just look to use small-sided goals in one half. And then if you have more or less players, you just adapt to that too. In terms of the equipment, we're going to be focusing on using just balls, bibs and cones this week. And then if you don't have enough actual goals that you can use poles, okay, to set out a goal area. Now, in terms of the setup for this part of the session, okay, the width in here, okay, is going to be 30 yards, okay, and the depth all the way down is just going to be 35 yards. Now, you can look to increase or decrease that, okay. I would advise not decreasing it, okay, because you want a bit of space for the players to manoeuvre, okay. And also you've got players set up in different areas. Now, you're going to split the group. So if you have 12, 2 groups of 6, if you have 10 groups, 2 groups of 5, you're going to have players opposite here, opposite there, and then 2 players either side of the goal. And you're going to number them 1 to 6, okay. Let's say we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or you can go the opposite way instead. Now, whichever numbers that the coach says, the players then move into the middle. So let's say the coach says number 1 and number 5, this player, this player, this player, and this player will move in. The reds look to score in here, the blues look to score in there. Coach then plays the ball in, and it's a 2v2. Team looks to get the ball into an area to score quickly. They score, they get a point, the keeper saves it, the ball's still in play, okay, and we just carry on. So if the keeper saves it here, the reds win it back, they can look to counter, go in, and then score. Then players just move back, okay, to their start points. Coach that gets the next ball ready, okay, and then says another number. So the coach can say as many numbers as they want. They could say 1 or all the way up to 6 if they wanted to as well at the end, okay. They say 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. So let's say the next one we could say 2, 3, and 4. So you get 1, 2, 3 in here, 1, 2, 3 in here, okay, and then it becomes a 3v3. So then in these areas now with a bit more players involved, we've got to focus on our movement a little bit more, okay, so we're trying to keep it fun, but at the same time we've got to focus on our attacking principles in here, okay, so making sure we're moving to create space to receive the ball, okay, to then penetrate through and then look to score. So what we don't want is all 3 players just moving straight. So if this player's got the ball here, can this player make a movement in front of the defender to make them think, okay, and then create space the other side, ball can get squared in, and then we can finish, okay? Every time the team scores, they can get a point, okay? And then it can just keep building up and building up for the final score. And like I say, you can work from 1v1 all the way up to 6 versus 6 as well. If you have more players, you can add more players in. If you have less players, you can just look to have, let's say you had 8 outfield players, you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, as simple as that. And if you wanted to, you could rotate the players round so they start at different start points as well. We'll now move into our first animation before moving on to part 2 of this week's session. Now moving into part 2 of this week's session, we're now moving into our second small-sided game, which is going to be focusing on like an eliminator type game. So in terms of the setup for this part of the session, depending on obviously how many players that you have, will depend on obviously how much depth and width that you want. Now with it being 6 versus 6, okay, because we want it to be quite tight in there, okay, making sure that the players are constantly on the move, okay, and that the intensity is quite high. So we're going to have 40 yards of depth, okay, and 30 yards of width. If you had 7v7, you might increase the depth a little bit. Okay, if you had 8v8, same again. Now, The aim of the game, okay, is when you score, you can eliminate a player from the other team. Now, when you eliminate a player, that player just moves to the outside. So they're just a floater then, okay? So they're only allowed 2 touches and only allowed to pass the ball in, so they can't score. Then, if a team, let's say the Reds score, and they send a blue player out, and then the Blues score, the Blues can either then eliminate a red player or bring their player back in. And then the team with the most players at the end, or the first team to eliminate all the players, wins the point. Now, so Reds are shooting there, Blues are shooting here. So let's say the Reds get the ball in here, okay, manoeuvre it, third man run, we go in, we finish. Then let's say they say, this player's out, okay, so now it's 6 versus 5. Blues get the ball, okay, they move it through, they get it into an area where they can score. If they then bring this player back in, okay, the next time the Reds score, they can't send that player back out straight away. They have to pick somebody else, just so that the same players aren't getting picked all the time by going out. Because obviously, for those players, it's a bit frustrating. You want to make sure that they can play as well. Because what you'll tend to find is that people go, right, who's the biggest goal threat? Let's pick him every single time. Okay, if someone's having a good session, let's pick him every single time. So making sure that the players are getting an even chance in there. Okay. Now, if they wanted to, the Reds score now. Play in there, they eliminate a player here, goes on the outside, and then they win the ball back, okay, as it goes in there, and they score again. Then they get another player out, then it's 6 versus 4. So this is where now players have to realise, okay, we've got to work hard for each other. Okay, the Reds, they got a chance to obviously penetrate. And then for the Blues, what's our best way to try and score now? Okay, can we get the ball out to the floaters? Okay, you can then put it into a dangerous area and then score. Then what's our decision? Right, okay, we're going to send one of the Reds out. So it's 6 versus 5. Then, let's say the Reds try and play into an area, gets intercepted again, we play the ball in with the Blues, we score, then they might say, okay, we're going to bring a blue player back in, because then it goes 5 versus 5. Each team's got to play on the outside, and then let's say the Reds get it, they look to manoeuvre the ball, okay, into areas, keeper saves it, Blues go down the other end, okay, the momentum's with them, they score, then they pick another red player to go out, and now they've got an advantage 5 versus 4. So obviously for the players, they can choose however they want to do it, they can bring players back in, they can look to eliminate players, they've just got to make sure when a player gets sent out, when they come back in, they have to pick somebody else first. And let's say you're going to run the game for 3 minutes, okay, after 3 minutes, if it finished like the way it did now, the Blues will win because they've got more players in the middle. Okay, if in that 3 minutes period, okay, the Blues or the Reds manage to get every one of the opposition players out, okay, then they've already won the game. Goalkeepers as well are involved. Okay, so obviously you use the keepers to keep the ball, especially when you've got less players as well. They're a player who can receive it and play out to floaters and obviously clip balls into space as well. And we're thinking obviously the intensity's got to be high. Players have got to attack as a team. Defenders as a team, they've got to work hard for each other to make sure that we're not conceding. Okay, and also that we've got a threat further up the pitch. We will now move into our next animation before moving on to the final part of this week's session. Okay, now moving into the final part of this week's session, we're now into our final small-sided game, which is going to be, we're going to be just doing small-sided games with different rules, so different conditions, okay? So the first game that they're going to play, the players, is going to be 2-touch, 1-touch finish. So they're playing maximum 2-touch with a first-time finish to score. Second game that we're going to play, okay, is 5 passes to score. And the third game is going to be maximum 7 passes to score. So obviously then we've got to be a little bit more direct. So it's different times per game. So we're trying to keep possession in one to score. We're trying to move the ball quickly, okay, in one to score first time. So nice intricate play. And the final one is be a little bit more direct to score. Now, what you're doing in these games is you can either play up until a certain score. So you can say first to 3 or first to 5, or you can just do a set time limit, right? 3 minutes a game, whoever scored the most goals at that time wins. Now the players will obviously, the teams will have 1 goal to score in each time. And again, the players have just got to make sure they're switched on, they're constantly on the move. So the small-sided games, the high intensity, okay? We're focusing on lots of different technical areas of the game as well, okay? Psychological, our awareness, our decision-making, okay? Our confidence and composure on the ball. Lots of communication, taking ownership of situations. And then the physical side, okay? Our endurance, our speed as well, okay? Our body shape to receive the ball. And then being able to move out of tight areas. So the coach will start with the ball. So let's say the blue player gets in here. What do we need? We need options close, okay? And then we can set the ball in. And what this player's got to think is, okay, it's first time finish, so can I make a move here to receive it in space and finish? There we go, there's a goal. 1-0, we've gone in. This team instantly starts. When the player receives it, again, can we look to provide options? And then the players, what they've got to realise is when someone's receiving the ball, they've only got 2 touches, so how can I support that player? I can receive in space, I can set it into my teammate, I can score. So first time finishes, so you've got to put yourself in an area where you're confident to strike the ball. Make sure we're getting our heads up early, okay, and assessing situations so we can have a strike. And then when we're receiving it, before we receive the ball, getting a picture in our head where we want to play. So when the ball's getting played across here, okay, to this player, okay, where am I going to go? So as this player's got it and we drop back here, have a look to say, okay, I'm going to play wide. Then when this player receives it, I'm going to play through, I'm going to set it, I'm going to finish. Might even get saved, but it's fine, we've been positive. Then, that's the first game done. So 2 touch, 1 touch finish. The next one, 5 passes. So then we're focusing on using the pitch as much as we can. Okay, stretching the pitch so we can get those passes in. Okay, we're combining quickly. There we go. We get 1 more pass. There's 5. Now we can score. So for the Reds, it's then, can we stop them scoring? For the Blues, can we get it into an area? Okay, where we can then score. Okay, so again for that one, it's making sure that we're able to play 1 and 2 touch. We're recycling the ball, so we're not trying to go here. These 2 players get the ball, they go 1, 2, 3, 4, then it's, oh, there's 4 defenders in here, how are we going to get the ball out? They try to play to 5th pass, and they lose it. Okay, so then we go 1, 2, then we think, okay, there's a bit more space here, 3, okay, 4, 5. So work out our areas to then score, because if we try and play in the same area, dead close to each other quite quickly, okay, you entice the defenders to come in. If we go, let's say the ball's out here, 1, 2, and then as the defenders come in, we open out, okay, and then switch the play. There's 3, there's 4, there's 5, okay, so you draw them in with 1 or 2 passes, and then look to go the other way, to recycle the ball, okay, so again, the intensity and the tempo will be quite high, and then the final game, maximum 7 passes to score. Again, you can change this to 5 if you wanted to, okay, but I'd just say maximum 7, okay, just because you don't want the players having to just force it every single time, okay? You still want them to be able to play a couple of passes on the floor, and then we can get it into an area where it's okay. The 7 passes means we can still look to build a little bit, whereas if we said 5 passes, it'd be like 1, 2, like, let's say we win the ball back and we've got to get it out of an area. There's 3 passes, then it's just, oh, we're lumping it straight away. Okay, if we do 7, we've worked it out of an area where we've won the ball back, we've gone 1, 2, 3, okay, to the keeper, then we play into keeper. There's 4, and then we're thinking, okay, there's 5 passes, and then we look to score. So we're trying to get it into that area quickly, so there's got to be movement, okay, ahead of the ball, creating space to receive it in space, and then when we play through, making sure we're getting bodies forward to attack that space and then score. So 3 different condition games, all fun, all focused on obviously improving different areas of the players' games, okay, making it a high intensity, okay, so the players will realising then as well that it helps with that football fitness, okay, because we're constantly on the move, okay, we're working hard for each other, the game's intense, okay, but we're focusing on our concentration levels once we're getting tired to keep doing the right things on the ball. We'll now move into our final animation before concluding this week's session. Thanks for watching this week's video. Don't forget to head over to our website where you can sign up to view over 900 session plans like this. And we'll see you next week for another Session Sunday.